Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. What is hunting? What is that phenomenon, to hunt? What does it mean to hunt? It means you outsmart an animal. Now, what does that mean? It means that the animal has some level of ability to react to the world, and your ability to react to the world is more complex, or deeper, or more sophisticated. That's what that means. So, when single-celled amoeba are just laying in a carpet, right? They're smart enough to do nothing. They simply have a chain reaction that makes them reproduce, right? They're laying there in a carpet, and some little creature comes along and laps them up. You know, a sucker fish comes along and just sucks them up and eats them. So there is a creature that is smarter than the creature that it's eating. Okay? That's just an evolutionary thing. Now, at some point, there were creatures that were so sophisticated that they had automated behavior turned on for really abstract situations in the world. Like, for example, hearing a particular type of noise caused them to be startled. Right? Like the sound of a snake is very startling to cats and to people too. So they have a consciousness that has a certain amount of power, a certain amount of predictive power, right? Now, the single-celled amoeba were outsmarted by just anything that can move. That thing that can move would be outsmarted by something that's more intelligent still, which would be outsmarted by a mammal, which is the most intelligent, which would be outsmarted by a human. You see, it's just levels of being able to hunt each other. That's really all intelligence comes down to, is being able to hunt each other. Now, animals have a certain level of sophistication. We call it instinct, right? They respond automatically. So to return to the question, what is hunting? Hunting is to defeat the animal in its territory on its own terms. All right? Now, you don't have to be sporting about it. Sporting is a concept. I don't know. Let's not talk about what's sporting. But let's talk about how the Iron Age people hunted buffalo sometimes. They would have a given area where they knew if they ran the buffalo down that direction, the buffalo would, the ones at the front of the herd would reach a spot where it was dangerous and they couldn't go any further. And the ones at the back of the herd wouldn't get that memo. And the ones at the front of the herd would get pushed off and would fall down and die. And then they would have not just a buffalo that they went and hunted and got a buffalo, but 30 or 50 buffalo, or 70 or 100. So, yeah, they were kind of wasteful, but that's the Native Americans before white men got here. Wasteful sons of bitches. Now, your consciousness is a sophisticated machine that was built for surviving in a plethora of wild animals. That's what your consciousness was built for. The fact that your consciousness is a predictive machine and that you can choose to use it now amazes some people, the determinists. They just can't, it just blows their hippie noodle that their actions haven't been determined and that they have free will. And I was watching this video called Free Will Debunked by Determinist Using Free Will by Yaron Brook. That was the title of the video. Maybe I'll put and so that made me think of this fact of, okay, we do have free will and animals don't. They have instinct. Okay. Now, suckerfish couldn't even be said to have instinct, really. They just work on an automated thing. Okay, maybe they have instinct, all right? Single-celled amoeba that the suckerfish is going around and eating up certainly do not rise to the level of having instincts. So at some level you go from just reproducing to reproducing with instincts in order to preserve yourself a little bit better, to reproducing with instincts guided by volition, rationality, reason. And then your instincts, what are your instincts then? You have an instinct to move your hand quickly when you see something move fast. I mean, your instincts are virtually nothing anymore. Animals that run on instincts are so easily fooled. You can run them off the edge of a damn cliff. And you can sneak up on them in the forest if you have something that's colored a little different and they can't smell you, you're downwind or whatever. I mean, animals are so stupid because they run on instinct. Ayn Rand said humans don't have any instinct. And I would say, to the extent that you can point to something and say, isn't that an instinct? I would say that that's probably some leftover motor neuron response, which, instinct is not knowledge, it's automatic behavior. And if you can change your behavior based on your knowledge of the world, then you don't need instincts. So you can see how instincts aren't important and get turned off in a human being. Why would we have an instinct when we have a mind that can tell us what to decide or that can decide what to do? Why would instincts be preserved in human beings if the mind is there? The instincts would sometimes get the wrong answer. The mind could think and get around those situations. So of course we have a mind and not instincts. Instincts haven't been preserved. There's nothing to preserve them other than the motor neuron response of moving your hand if you see something moving close to it because you think it's a spider. Your brain automatically says spider or bug. If that's an instinct, that's a pretty shallow definition of instinct for human beings. Okay, what is free will? What is consciousness? There we go. Chew on that video a bit. What is hunting? We are simply an evolved brain with a higher level of activity than instinct. Why? Because we can outsmart the ones that are operating on instinct, because it's not a very sophisticated type of program. And consciousness is a much more sophisticated program because it requires you to focus, it requires free will. But if you can focus and if you will exercise your free will, you will survive better than the deer and the snakes and the spiders, because you can figure out your way around situations that the deer and the snakes and the spiders react to automatically. There, free will is consciousness that has evolved for us to survive with. This is not a blow-my-mind determinism thing. Determinism's so stupid. Watch this video again and get your head around the fact that determinism is stupid.